Shane, Shane, Shane. Shane, 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 Shane. A-L-A-N, Allen. A-L-A-N, Allen. Allen, 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 Allen.
Hey, we're back. We're doing this now on a Sunday. So I know everyone's winding down, getting ready for the work week. Very exciting. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got for the intro. Sorry. I don't have anything else to say. Nothing interesting. Just that it's Sunday. And in the next month or so, the football will be starting. Isn't that right? NFL is here almost.
The work week. How dare you? How dare you?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Hall of Fame game, which now that they've lowered the preseason to 3 weeks, but those teams play like the extra it's like the preseason, and it looked like it too.
Yeah, and I follow some 49ers content creators because I'm a Niners fan. Sorry. I saw a couple of them being like, man, Trey Lance is looking pretty good. And it's like, well, who cares? It's a fucking
Yeah.
You're super good. You're playing against people, like most of the people on that you're playing against probably aren't even going to be on the team.
Yeah. Oh, he torched the Lions scout team.
Yeah, exactly.
Just murked him. You know, it's one of those things where like you forget like what draft pick Trey Lance was.
I remember.
Well, yeah, I know you remember, but I think a lot of people have forgotten because it's like, you know. But I don't know, whatever. It is what it is. But you know, we've only got 3 weeks of preseason, and then we're off to the races. So hope springs eternal this time of year for all 32 teams. Well, maybe not all 32, but you know, more teams than deserve it. So we'll see.
Yeah. You know, so going off of the NFL, but sticking with sports, if you consider this a sport. But I was kind of like wondering, what are we going to talk about? Because I'm usually the one that kind of brings in the topics, right? And so I was like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? And I remember that this really important thing happened. So the WNBA, right? You know, that league, who they should just replace them all with guys, right?
Yeah.
But something really interesting has been happening there. And let me share this here. Someone threw a green dildo on the court during a WNBA game tonight. Let's watch.
Hayes gets blocked by Maya Caldwell. Something flies on the court, actually, from
did you see that?
The crowd. The officials will say they will continue play as that goes off the fingertips of the Valkyries. And you can see the object, the block right there. And the object comes, that green thing bounces.
That green thing.
It goes to the sideline.
Yep.
We're not exactly we're not sure where it came from.
Probably online.
For any of that type of activity. Yeah. And no one's picked the object up yet. You guys.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
How dare you? Why would you show that?
I don't know. They keep calling it the object.
Yeah, the object, right. Like it's some weird thing no one's ever seen before. What is this thing that's being... I mean, I guess, you know, to be fair, from a distance, you don't know what it is, but then when you finally see it, you're just like, okay. It's one of the most interesting things to ever happen, you know, for the WNBA. So there you go.
Yeah, that's not even the only time it happened like this week.
Nope.
They already arrested the fan. The fan.
Really?
The object. Yeah, they arrested him.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like 50% of the league's ticket sales are in the clink.
Oh, look at that.
What are you gonna do?
Look at this tweet. This is funny. Ranking of who brings the most viewers to the WNBA. Number 1, Caitlin Clark. 2, Green Dildo.
Yeah, and Caitlin Clark can't stay healthy, so
Yeah.
like I'm just waiting for Caitlin Clark to officially announce her retirement due to injury, just constant injuries being sustained, and then the WNBA just immediately goes back to. I mean, they're still insolvent. They just go back to being further insolvent.
Right. Well, also, that guy, I guess, who was stalking her, right? I think he just got charged with that. So
No, he just got sentenced for that.
Oh, sentenced, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, sentenced. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that they're trying to do, they've been trying to do, is they've been trying to make this Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. This whole what's it called? Rivalry. They're trying to make that a thing. Oh man, Angel Reese has so many offensive rebounds, and you watch clips of her, and it's like because she keeps constantly missing her own shot, and she's like, getting the ball. Like, It's like you should be getting so many offensive rebounds to where it's your own shot. Like if it's someone else and you're doing it, then that's pretty impressive. But when it's your constant shot and you're just missing it, I don't know how. I mean, it's whatever, but. I don't know.
Listen to this. I had an interesting idea the other day for something that WNBA could do to help itself.
I'm listening.
And this was inspired because I saw, I guess, the majority owner of the Celtics either has bought or is buying one of the shitty I mean, they're all shitty, but one of the shitty WNBA teams. I think the Sun or somebody. And he's planning to move him to Boston because, that's where he is. And Celtics.
You'd think, yeah.
And I thought, how about this? Because the WNBA is obviously doesn't have as many franchises as like the NBA does. And they're planning to expand like another 2 or 4 teams, which is so crazy to even think. Cause it's like, you've literally never turned a profit, but you're still thinking expansion as opposed to just figuring out a way to make this work. They want to increase the scope, but forget all that. Yeah. So if this guy's going to buy a team, right. And he already owns a men's team and he's moving them to the same city. You know how in high school, like a lot of times, the girls and boys team will both play a home game. Like the girls team will play their home game. And then 30 minutes later, the boys will come out and warm up and then the boys will play their home game. And so and then for for scheduling reasons, when you think of like district scheduling, like it incentivizes them to be like, well, schedule them on the same night. So if the boys, if my high school is playing, Lawrenceburg, then the girls will also be playing Lawrenceburg on the same night so that they just both play, you're both using the gym back to back, an hour apart. They should do that with WNBA and NBA games. Make it like high school where all of the WNBA franchises are bought out or moved, because the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. So it's not like they can't do it. I mean, come on, they pay the bills as it is. So all the WNBA teams are centered basically as a sister franchise to an NBA team. And they play out of the same stadium and they schedule games. They move the WNBA season to mirror the NBA season to overlap it. And they just make it where you buy a ticket and you can go to the women, I mean, first of all, I mean, you could theoretically go to the women's game and then go home, but I mean, come on, if you're going to go to a basketball, you're going to watch the NBA game. Schedule, work out the scheduling so that when you buy a ticket, you can either buy a ticket and watch the men's game, or you can pay like an extra, whatever, $20 to get a rider so that you can watch the women's game. And then there's like a 30-minute intermission or whatever. And then the men's game. I think that that's actually a really neat idea, because that way, since the NBA is already subsidizing the WNBA anyway, at least by sort of connecting the women's games to a men's, like the women's game is like an undercard, right? And the men's game is like the main event. And I'm sure they wouldn't sell it that way because they would say that was offensive or discriminatory. But you know what it is. The game that comes first is the lower game. The final game is the main event.
Right.
And then that way, because if it's a lot like if it's a lot like high school sports, then it'll end up being a similar deal where you kind of have a modest crowd for the women's game. Let's be honest. But then towards the end of the women's game, it gets hype because all the fans are coming in to get their seats for the men's game. So the fourth quarter is fucking lit, right? Like everybody's like, fuck yeah. Because they're all just getting boozed up, getting ready for the men's game that starts in, 30, 45 minutes. I think that's a winner.
Well, the WNBA itself would never do that because they have such a huge ego. Hey, look at all these fans that the women themselves are bringing in. Because if they did it together where they was connecting like that, like you were saying, of course they're gonna say, well, if the women were first and then it's an NBA game, that's offensive, whatever. But what if they flipped it, right? The NBA game's first and then the WNBA's the main event. How many people would stay?
Well, that's exactly why they wouldn't do it, because that's the whole point. You're trying to bring crowds in. It's the same thing. Because this is the reason why they do this at like live performances and stuff, whether it's, music or whatever. Yeah. An empty concert hall is not attractive. It doesn't look, it's not good for optics. So like if you're trying to sell season tickets to your theater, or performance hall or amphitheater or whatever, when you do get people to come in and they're looking around like, man, there's, it's only like 10% capacity in here. Where is everybody? It just kind of colors the mood of the evening. And then people start to kind of get the attitude of, well, even if I personally enjoyed the performance, I don't know if I would really be invested in getting like season tickets, because I'll just go to the one thing that I wanted to see most, and I'll just kind of play it by ear, because it looks like, it kind of looks like things aren't working out here,
Yeah.
So you don't want that. So you want things to ramp up, not slide down. Maybe in a scenario where Caitlin Clark is in the building, then we know there's a very small amount of WNBA fans, but a higher percentage of them in the area are likely to buy tickets because they're going to get to see Caitlin Clark, maybe in that case. But she plays for the Fever, right? So that would be the Pacers, just like everything could move around, but just for the sake of what we currently have to work with. If the Fever are playing a game and their attendance is pretty good because they have Caitlin Clark, well, the Pacers obviously wouldn't mind because it's going to be a packed house anyway. But if they're on the road, if the Pacers are on the road at, I don't know, the fucking Magic or whatever, and the Magic or Garbo, then they're like, having Caitlin Clark in the house means that there'll be more butts and seats, and then it'll be packed in the fourth quarter, and then maybe it just remains a full house all the way through the end of the night because, they kind of started off with a bump, anybody who's ever gone to see live sports or gone to hockey games or whatever, there's nothing wrong with getting there early to make sure you're not stuck in traffic. And there's nothing wrong with tailgating or getting your seats early, grabbing some snacks or whatever. But there's always a lot of people who live in the city where the team is based. Those people are showing up like they're running down the concourse 5 minutes, before kickoff or whatever to get to their seats. Yeah. If you've ever seen, we watch some of the pregame in the NFL when the talking heads are on the field talking. You look around at the stadium, it's like empty. And you're like, dude, is there just no one going to this game? But then, of course, by the time kickoff, it's full. So I'm just saying this is just a way to kind of maybe they can schedule things in such a way that they kind of lower costs a little bit, because again, the NBA is paying the WNBA's bills. So if this is something that the NBA can do to kind of make a little bit of extra cash and also save a little bit on expenses, because they're kind of doubling up their events, using the same space and on the same nights and whatever. And vice versa, if it's kind of a scheme to get more attendance in WNBA games. Because again, if a bunch of people buy the extra ticket and they only show up to the fourth quarter, who gives a shit? They just gave you extra money, right? Because they wanted to get there early for the men's game, whatever.
Yeah.
That's life. That happens. So I'm just saying, I think there's a reason why they do this in high school. They do this in high school because they're trying to drum up support for like the women's teams, but obviously the men's team is going to be the main event. It's going to be the closer of the evening. But if they can get an extra 50 people in the gym for the women's game, then good for them. They'll get to have a little cheering section, whatever.
Right.
It's the same thing. And again, it's the NBA owns the WNBA. So it's there's no would they do it to it. You just fucking tell them this is how it's going to be, or you can retire, have a good life.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think this is a really good idea. I understand that their seasons, the way they currently play, they're offset, like the WNBA and NBA play offset seasons. And I don't think that's a good idea. I think it should just be they're basketball, right? So they should be in basketball season instead of saying it's women's basketball. I mean, even in college, of course, men's and women's basketball are being played at the same time. Their tournaments are essentially they offset the tournament by like days, right? Or a half a week, just so that the women and men are offset on days or whatever. But still their seasons overlap. So just make the WNBA and NBA seasons overlap. Put them in the same gymnasiums, call it a day. I mean, of course, don't get me wrong. My answer is you just shutter the WNBA and lay everybody off because it loses you money. I literally just saved the owner's money by just ending the WNBA. But if you were going to try to keep it, I think this is a really good idea.
Well, yeah, and especially now with WNBA going around now, and it's not making a profit since it started. Like you might as well try. You might as well try something different because, okay, so they've been trying summer leagues for football. Right, you had the USFL and the XFL. Now it's the UFL because they merged. Should they do the same thing with the NFL? Should the UFL go along with the NFL season and be like, "Hey, we'll be the opening"?
That's totally different thing because that's the same product. They're competitors. The WNBA is not the same product as the NBA. It's women's and men's. They're different sports. The UFL and the XFL, whatever, those are just football. So you cannot have a competing football league on at the same time. The only thing remotely close to that, which is still not technically the same, is college football. And even then, for decades, they make it very clear that it's like Saturday is college, Sunday isn't it, because they're trying to not compete, right? They're trying to stay away. And football games they can be a little long. So it's like
that's a good point.
No one's gonna do that's a long in the amount of beers these people put back. Like people are gonna die. People are gonna be because a lot of people show up to tailgate to like NFL games like hours before the game in college football too. Could you imagine people showing up at like 9 a.m. to start tailgating and they're putting back beers and eating fried chicken or barbecue or whatever. And then the game is like a noon kickoff for the UFL game. And then that's 3.5 hours. And then there's the like afternoon kickoff is 3:30 or 4. And that's like another 3.5 hours. Those people won't make it home. They'll never make it. So that's too long of a day. Whereas it's like the basketball games are a lot slimmer. A lot quicker product. So I think it makes sense with basketball. Whereas, I mean, it wouldn't make any, like a football game that goes to overtime is the equivalent of 2 basketball games. So yeah, that's different.
Oof. Well, I guess the WNBA will just have to continue having green dildos thrown onto the court for people to start talking about them. Because, like, who other than when Caitlin Clark plays or she's on the bench, and I mean, the only 2 players that I can think of obviously are Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Those are the only 2 because I see Angel Reese talking because anytime she talks, it's always that me, da da da. And they were also just they were wearing shirts I saw recently where they were saying, "Hey, pay us what we deserve," or whatever. And you're just like, What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean how much you deserve? Like, if the product is not making any money, why would they pay you more? Because then they'd be losing more money if they're paying you, you know? Like, they don't even understand this.
This was a pretty hot monologue segment from the show 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You should just hit play on that, because I had all the math. I don't have it right now. It was pay us what you owe us, and we ran all the numbers, and each player currently on the active roster is owed negative $340,000.
Negative. In other words, they should be giving the league their money back.
The highest paid player in the WNBA could return her salary and still owe them another $100,000 for the right to play. Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Come on.
I mean, because they're mad because it's like their highest paid player makes like whatever $300,000 a year, but you know, like LeBron James makes $200 million. It's like, okay, but how much does LeBron James bring in versus the entire WNBA? So since his is not a negative number, he's infinitely more valuable than they are.
Well, yeah, exactly. You go to some random person who doesn't even watch the NBA. You say LeBron James. They know who you're talking about. You go on and say like, hey, do you know who Sophie Cunningham is? Like, who the fuck? Can you get away from me trying to get to work? Like, nobody's gonna know who the fuck you're talking about. Sophie Cunningham. Who is the commissioner of the WNBA? What's her name?
I thought they just had the same commissioner. I didn't even realize they had a separate commissioner.
Who's the NBA commissioner? What's his name? Without even looking it up, what's his name?
That's Adam Silver or whatever his name is.
Adam, see, his name.
The WNBA commissioner is Kathy Engelbert. Kathy Engelbert.
Okay.
She was a CEO of some company, and then in 2019 she took over as the commissioner of the
She's done a pretty good
WNBA.
Running a tight ship over there.
How much money does she make?
Let me guess. $5 million. That's what I'm gonna guess. She has to be making some decent money.
It's actually not even in the public domain, but they estimate that she's making like $150K.
Oh, geez, I was way off.
Well, their highest paid player makes less than what like a lot of other athletes make it for a single game. So look, if your point of reference was that league star player makes $50 million a year, therefore we should make more because our star player only makes $340,000 or $300,000. No, actually, I think it's like $286,000 a year. I get what you're saying. It's a drop in the bucket. But again, the NFL makes billions and billions of dollars in revenue each year. Yeah. The WNBA last year they lost $24 million.
Yeah,
so, like I said, they could literally have the entire active roster be a volunteer staff, like old school college ball, where it's just all student athletes and none of them are being paid, and the league would have still lost money.
So I'm gonna have to assume then that the WNBA players are retarded and they don't understand how this works, or is someone telling them they should do, like, is their agent like, hey, you should go ahead and go out there and wear that T-shirt because everyone else is doing it. If you don't do it, you're gonna look bad. It's optics.
Well, right? They're only looking out for their own self-interest. Like, I'm actually willing to not. I already made all my jokes, so I'm done making my jokes. People can go watch the clip. Yeah. I'm willing to not go so hard on them because at the end of the day, they're pursuing their own self-interest. And so your own self-interest is for you to make more money. So obviously it'd be like, yeah, sure, I could go for some more money. Why not? Actually, as a matter of fact, I could go for anyway. Who doesn't if in the NBA, they have the Supermax contract, right? If they announce tomorrow that they're going to make a super max that was worth just $1 million more. Well, of course, the people who are worth a super max would be like, "Oh, that's me. I'm the super max. That's me right here." Of course they would. Why wouldn't they? They would want more. So I don't fault them for wanting more, and I don't fault them for not being like, well, the economic reality of it is, because they're basically talking themselves out of a job. If all the ladies got together and said, we sure like to get paid more, but golly gee, the league's losing money, that would make it more likely that they actually just shut it down, because so they don't want to bring that to light. Like, they don't want to make that more talked about than it already is. So I think now it's fair play if they said, well, we're open, like, because they have a union, just like all the dumb fucks. If they came together and said, we're open to any and all ideas to increase revenue and generate excitement for our league, if it means drastic changes to the game we play, if it means scheduling, if it means whatever, if it means some white dude said that we just play before NBA games, whatever. If they came out and said, at the end of the day, we want more, but we want this league to thrive and be a healthy part of the American sports complex for many, many years to come. So let's put our heads together on ideas to do that. Then that would be one thing. But by and large, I mean, they pretty much are just running. They're just running the show the way they're running the show. I mean, keep in mind, the NBA is not exactly like, the greatest sports organization that's ever existed. The NBA has certainly had its highs and lows, and there were eras when people were like, I don't know if this is going to work. Mm-hmm. And then whereas you have like the NFL after the NFL AFL merger, I mean, it's just been line goes up, for the NFL, whereas the NBA is kind of done a little bit of this number. So it's like you definitely have to be willing. It's like, you don't want to kill the golden goose, which is something I've complained about with college football. College football has made too many changes, and it's like, when you have literally over a century of tradition, you maybe want to be a little bit careful with making drastic changes to your product. But in the case of the WNBA, A, it hasn't been around that long, and B, they've literally never turned a profit. So I'm just saying, if anybody was going to be willing to potentially try some drastic changes to their product, it would be them. Unless behind the scenes, they're basically just being told, look, it just doesn't matter. You're going to be subsidized basically forever, because this is just our make work project that we're putting on for publicity or whatever. But I guess the other way to look at it is, instead of saying, what could the WNBA do better, maybe the question you ask is how bad does it have to get? How many years they've already gone? Like, if the WNBA has been around for like whatever it is, like 20 something years, how much longer can they go losing tens of millions of dollars a year before there was a serious conversation about pulling the plug and just closing up the whole thing? So I think those are two conversations that you have at the same time. It's like, on the one hand, have an honest answer. Like, look, we've got money. You guys want to have this league, and we want to say, look what great, strong feminists we are, and we're going to subsidize you, whatever, that's fine. But you need to have an answer on when you're willing to pull the plug and kill the league because it's not making any money. Vice versa, what are you willing to do? What changes are you willing to make before that day to try to save it? I don't think they're actually having those conversations, because I think at the end of the day, the people representing the league, they don't give a shit about positive changes. They just want more. That's where you can criticize them, is to say that, well, you guys, like, if you want more, then, for each extra 10K annually you need to give us an idea for how to make the league more profitable. And if you don't have any answers, then you don't get any more money.
Well, I guess the WNBA has to figure that out. How are they going to make a profit? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
be like, look, hey, I tell you what, I will double everyone's salary, but you have to make the league solvent by 2030. And just be like, that's it. That's the ultimatum. If by 2030 you're solvent, we double the salaries. If you're not, we'll pull the plug. And then that way it's like, look, hey, you know, you can't just show up anymore, right? Like you've got to, this is it. You're on the clock. I think that I don't even think that's rude. I think that's more than fair.
I mean, there aren't a lot of businesses out there. If you're continuously losing money, you're going to keep doing business. Like you don't want to be losing money all the time. Like there's got to come to a point where you have to, like, I don't know, start making money, right? Like it's a business at the end of the day. So yeah, you know,
sure,
you have women out there who are playing the game, and there are people who show up. Like I'm not saying there's zero fans that show up, but it's just not enough for them to go, hey, this year we made a few $1 million this year. This is pretty good. Let's keep it up. Let's see if we can keep this up. I mean, Caitlin Clark is probably the most popular female player, at least that I can remember, and they're probably still going to lose a ton of money, even with her there.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, she was there last year, and last year they lost $24 million, which was much higher than their average loss per year over their time. Because you might recall, I don't know if you remember this or not, but a year or two back, there was a big argument over charter flights because the WNBA teams were complaining that their scheduling and transportation wasn't very good. Like basically they were just flying coach and getting in at odd hours. And that was, you know, whereas you compare that again to, like, you know, the Dallas Cowboys ain't fucking flying coach and showing up 2 days before their game. They're they're fucking on Air Force One, motherfucker, going wherever they want to.
Jerry's got them going.
But you know, the Dallas Cowboys are worth a teensy bit more money than WNBA teams.
A little bit.
But the point being is that they really, really made a big stink about all that stuff. And then the league kind of in like a response was like, okay, well, we'll work on, like, you know, charter flights for the teams and whatever, and better accommodations. Well, that drove the annual cost of running the league up. And so they went from losing like $10 million a year to losing $24 million last year. Well, again, it's like, okay, look, you guys wanted the better traveling and accommodations. Okay, you got it. But now that's another $10-15 million annually that you need to raise above what you were. And so now, because again, I said solvent by 2030. So that means in the next 5 years, I'm not even saying like you're making a lot of money. I'm just saying you're not having to be subsidized. You know, the NBA can pay your taxes. Other than that, that's it. You know, they're not paying your operating costs. They're not even close. They're not even close to that, and their expenses have gone up. So even though it might be true that TV ratings went up, and I'm sure merchandise, and I'm sure ticket sales for games where Caitlin Clark went up, but that all those things are still just a drop in the bucket compared to the amount of money it takes to run a sports league versus how little support it has. Remember that whole Bill Burr thing where he did that whole bit where he was like, you know, basically he was addressing the women in the crowd, you know, saying you people are all fighting for the WNBA. What's name your 5 favorite players. Name your favorite team. Name the team from your city. You can't do it. Because you people, it's fashionable to say, oh yeah, I support them. But you don't actually support them, because if you did, you'd be watching the games. You're not invested at all. And that's exactly why it's going away. That's exactly why they don't have any money, because you're not invested. They're all hypocrites.
I think we did like a game or something where, you know, we kind of, I think I asked you, like, can you name a team? What's the team from Chicago? What's the team from Indiana?
Yeah.
I think we did that once.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
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 That's good. That's good
And it's all-
times.
And it's all bullshit. Yeah. nobody gives a shit. The only reason I know Indiana Fever is because Caitlin Clark's on that team. If Caitlin Clark didn't get drafted by them, there'd be no way I would know that.
Well, and if she wasn't drafted by the Fever, she would have been drafted by some other WNBA team. Everybody know what that team was, So
yeah. Well, like I knew the LA Spark because it was the LA team, and they're always going to get preferential. And I think, I think that Candace Parker played for them for a while or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to do it, but if we did it again, like I probably would remember the same handful of teams that I did last time because they're just kind of in my brain, but I wouldn't remember the ones that I didn't remember before. I definitely can't tell you like how big is the league? Like they're wanting to expand another 2 or 4 teams. Well, how many teams are in the league? I don't know. I just know there's 32 teams in the NFL, and I can name them. That's all I can do for you.
All right, I'm going to look it up real quick. WNBA has a 2025 13.
That's shitty. That's not even an even number. What the fuck?
The league is set to expand to 18 by 2030 with new teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. The expansion includes the addition of 2 more teams in 2026 with the return of Portland and the addition of the Toronto Tempo. So there you go.
They're also shit. It's just everything about them is so shitty. It's just all it is. It's just every single thing about them.
So I made a terrible comparison talking about how what if the if the UFL played, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was, and then you completely flatline that. So you made me look bad. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, it was a terrible idea.
Well, yeah, it was. But I guess,
unless they only play like a half.
Sure.
Well, okay, they need to make changes because nobody gives a fuck about their product. So they need to do like the NHL and play 3 periods and then.
That's why they're trying. Hey, we got these different rules or whatever. Hey, look at the kickoff. Look at this. Look at that. They do the 2-point conversion, a 3-point. They have all these different kind of weird rules, and they're to kind of make it interesting, and hopefully people will show up. But the way that they kind of market the summer league for the summer football leagues is, these guys are trying to get into the NFL. They're trying to, or maybe they were in the NFL and then they got cut, and now they're in the UFL. And then they're trying to go back. So in a way, they're trying to make it seem like it's some kind of developmental league, like a AAA for baseball.
That's what they're trying to do. And I agree. I think it's not. I didn't disagree with the strategy.
Yeah,
but they're all gonna fold. They are we just got done with the most recent spring football season not long ago, and no one watched it. No one watches it. And you know why no one watches it? It's just a fact of reality that there are a finite number of athletes that can play at a high enough level that they can put together like 32 teams in one league. And even amongst those 32 teams, there's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams, maybe even more, that are just kind of dog shit. And take obviously take quarterback, for instance, because we talk about this one all the time. There's not even 32 quarterbacks on planet Earth good enough to be a franchise starter in the NFL, because there are teams every single year thinking, Jesus Christ, we got to figure out something at quarterback. I mean this. In my opinion, there's only genuinely, at any given time, you can look in any era, any decade, I think there's only maybe 6 to 8 quarterbacks where you're like, that team won't change quarterbacks. They don't need to. There's a million other things they can improve upon before quarterback. And then after that first 6 to 8, maybe you can stretch it out to 15 to 16, where it's like they're not as good, like absolutely not as good as those top 6 to 8. But if they were on the best team, they would be pretty good. Well, that still leaves half of the whole league. So if half of the entire NFL has a quarterback where you're like, we should think about drafting somebody, we gotta get, then how are there going to be even one in the, which obviously the answer is there's not. Take the Titans. They just had the number 1 draft pick this past year. So when I say who's the worst team, we're going to say it's the Titans because they were the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
The the DC Defenders, I think they won, didn't they? I think they won.
I just looked it up. The DC Defenders beat the Michigan Panthers. Yep.
Okay. The Tennessee Titans would beat the DC Defenders 100-0. Like, you understand that, right?
Hey, they should do that. They should have the champion of the UFL face an NFL team and see how that goes.
That'll never happen for the same reason why like a college and pro team will never play. Is that for one, there's way too many issues with liability, insurance, money that would never happen. And two, like I remember back in the glory days of Saban at Alabama, people would be like, dude, Alabama could beat the Browns. And it's like, dude, the Browns would beat Alabama 100-0. Those are grown ass men. Do you know what you call? Do you know what a name for every single player on the Cleveland Browns is? Professional football player. Every single member of their roster is a professional football player. Not every member. In fact, technically, 0 members of Alabama's roster is a professional football player. But even if 20 or 30 of them might be someday, they're kids. They're gonna get. Dude, you want to see the lines just get worked? When the Browns have the ball, every single play is inside draw. Fuck them. And they're just gonna push all the way down that fucking field, dude. The quarterback wouldn't even have to throw a pass. He'd just be like, here you go, bud. Have fun. And just every single play is just flat, just pancaking every fucking Alabama defender and vice versa on the other side of the ball. So the point being is that it's not working out because it's just not good. And you might think to yourself, well, shouldn't it be competitive though? Because since they're all at the level that they're at, and none of them are at the level of NFL. So at least it should be competitive because it's even. Even if that's true technically, it's not fun to watch because you as a football fan, like as an NFL fan, as a football fan, it's not fun to watch because you're watching it and you're like, these guys aren't good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, they don't execute particularly well. There's just a lot of dumb mistakes. You know, the fast guy's not as fast. The squirrely running back, he ain't exactly Barry Sanders. You know, it's just a lower quality product, and people don't really like it. And it's like, and when you know that the NFL is out there as an example, that just makes you look worse. You know what I mean? Like, if everybody, which by the way, that's why the WNBA game comes first, not second. You don't want to watch fucking LeBron James play and then watch Tina Dipshit play. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that because then it just magnifies the difference. And keep in mind that the audience, like, they bought the tickets, right? So they're on the same court and they're watching like, damn, these chicks are fucking slow as shit, right? Because the action's going to be slower. There's going to be a lot more drops and misses and whatever. It'd be the same thing. Like, dude, if you did have an all day, all nighter where like the DC Defenders play the bumblefuck Renegades, and then after that it's like Cowboys 49ers, dude. Would watch actually other way around. You watch Cowboys 49ers and then you watch the bumblefucks play the Tiddlywinks. Yeah, people, you're gonna be watching it like, dude, these guys are slow as fuck. That's what you're gonna be thinking the whole time. And of course, compared to you and me, they're not slow, but compared to prime athletes that you just watched, you'd be like, God, these guys fucking suck. That's what would happen, man.
You know who the coach for the Michigan Panthers who lost the UFL championship game? You know who that was? Mike Nolan. And if that name sounds familiar, he used to be the 49ers head coach back when they sucked.
Yeah. Used to be is the key.
Yeah.
It's the key. In the, used to be. Used to be.
So
There's a lot of used to be's in the UFL.
Oh, for sure.
From the NFL, especially amongst coaching and stuff like that, because that's just a natural place for them to land. Like if you're a guy that could play in the NFL and you signed a contract and you made $20 million, and then it's like, dude, we're cutting you, you're no good, and then like you make it through the waiver wires and nobody wants to pick you up, it still is better for you to try to get signed on to somebody's scout team somewhere to try to work your way back than it is to go play in the UFL. And because it's not worth the risk. Like you're putting this much risk to your health and future for $20 million. If they tell you, hey, we'll pay you $1.25, it's like, nah, I'm good on that, friend. So it's just there's a lot of reasons why these leagues are separate and absolutely not equal. I don't know. I don't even remember how we got to talking about any of this. I've blacked out for the last hour.
Well, I know that we got to this when I showed a video of green dildo being thrown onto the WNBA court.
Yeah, that's what ruined it. Yeah. And I'm just mad because my stupid chair keeps on like sliding down even though I'm not hitting the lever. It's just pissing me off.
It's not good.
Yeah, man.
So while we're on the subject of UFL, because I know everybody really wants to know, I was curious about.
I can't believe why we can't get more viewers for this podcast. It's so weird. We talk about the WNBA, we talk about the UFL, we talk about Tom Myers.
We'll talk about something here in a minute that I think people will actually have some interest in. But so the UFL, and this is according to AI, so whatever. For the 2025 season, the minimum salary for active roster players who participate in all 10 regular season games is $62,005.
That's no money. And it's like and to be fair, like there might be people out there who are like, well, that's I only got to play 10 games, 62,000, whatever. That's what I make, and I work all year. It's like, okay, but that's like you can still like break your back or your spine, or your neck, or tear your ACLs and all that stuff in a UFL game the same way you can an NFL game. And those guys get primo healthcare, insurance, $1 million contracts. What's the vet minimum in the NFL compared to $62,000?
Yep.
Let's see what that is. 1.2 million. So just a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
For the 2025 season, the average salary for a player at UFL is $189,363 per year, or $91 per hour. They even give you the hourly wage.
That was the vet minimum. If you are a rookie who that went undrafted and you got signed to the practice squad and then you make the roster during the year, your NFL minimum salary as a undrafted rookie would still be $800,000.
Man, and imagine, listen, and Brock Purdy, before he got his big contract, he was making under $1 million, and he was
under $1 million per year. Yeah,
for the 49. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that's because he was the last pick. So that's basically the same thing as minimum rookie contract.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he was probably making maybe 10 or 15% higher than the minimum rookie.
Yeah.
And maybe just as a quarterback, since you're a QB and you're going to have to study more, we're going to give you the rookie minimum plus 15%. Yeah, that's what he was making. Dude was going to like the fucking Pro Bowl.
He was making like $950,000 or whatever it was. Crazy.
Yeah. Man, it's a good thing that the 49ers made such good use of that window with all that extra cash.
I know. Didn't they make the Super Bowl one time with them? What happened to that? Didn't they win?
I don't remember.
In some alternate reality, I think.
Is it just better for you to they just didn't go?
Yeah, they were the worst team that year. Screw it.
Yeah. No, you just got the number 1 pick that next year. I mean, I
Okay.
know people. It's funny because I know people who will say that they'll be like, if my team can't win the Super Bowl, then I just assume us go 0-17 so we can get the number 1 pick. And I'm like, no, you don't.
I don't. Yeah. I
Like,
don't
so
either.
first of all, you don't get a chance to go to the Super Bowl if you're on your way to 0-17. If you're even halfway to 0-17, you've already achieved a 0% chance to go to the Super Bowl. So you kind of, you have to be in it to win it before you can win. And then if it turns out you don't win, you can't then just slam the brakes and start forfeiting, hey, can we go back and forfeit the last 6 weeks? It looks like we're not going to win at all. It doesn't work that way. But no, dude, nobody there's a limited window of excitement when you have a big draft pick where you're like, ooh, we're going to get somebody. We're going to get so and so. It's going to be awesome. But losing sucks.
Oh yeah.
And even when you draft so and so, you're not gonna go from 0-17 to the Super Bowl, right? Like you're gonna suck for a bit. And then you have teams like the Titans who they already sucked, and then they went from already sucking to actually being the worst and getting the number 1 pick. But their number 1 pick was Cam Ward, who's just fuck. I'm just telling you right now, Cam Ward's gonna be trash, and so that means they're gonna suck for several more years. So it's like, why were we sucking that whole time? We're still gonna suck. I'm like, yeah.
All right. So real quick, another thing that I've seen that I've saw.
See, I'm shrinking again. It's the chair.
Yeah, whatever. English. Whatever. Yeah. Hey, look at you. Now you're just a floating head. Look at you. If your background was just black, you'd just be a floating head.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah.
Don't you tempt me. There we go.
Look at that. Hell yeah. Oh yeah. You're like Futurama, just need a little cover and you need to be in some liquid, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. Now it's a real show. This is a real show.
Now that we have 0 minutes left.
Yes, exactly. So real quick, because you're a man, as far as I know, and I'm guessing you probably like Sydney Sweeney. Have you seen the American Eagle ad? Have you seen that? What is your thoughts on everyone saying that you're a Nazi if you like it?
Well, she is a registered Republican.
I saw that. Yep. And I'm like, okay, because Donald Trump was asked about that, and he said, hey, she's a registered Republican. I like the ad now.
The only people calling her mid are gay or just horrific uggos, as my friend Aaron calls them. Just hideous uggos.
I've seen some people say that she looks like she has Down syndrome.
If Sydney Sweeney has Down syndrome, then you tell her I said she looks good sporting an extra chromosome, because that bitch is fucking fine. It's not a debate. You either recognize that she's kind of like every half a generation has their little who's the hot chick that all the middle school boys say, oh, she's so hot. Like it was Scarlett Johansson, there for a while.
Yeah.
But now Scarlett Johansson's gotten olds, so she's out. And sorry, I don't make the rules. It's just how it is, folks. And so the next one is Sydney Sweeney. It is what it is. It's not a matter of, there's no argument to be had. She's just the hot chick. When I was that age, it was Jennifer Love Hewitt. She was the hot chick.
Hewitt, yeah.
When I was that age, I was like, yeah, you guys, me and Jennifer, it's meant to be, even though she's like 12 years older than me. No, it's meant to be, you guys.
And I just mainly know Sydney Sweeney from The White Lotus season 1, which I don't know if you've seen it yet, but Alan Mosley, you should check it out. She's in it.
I haven't. Okay, I have not seen it. I don't know.
She does play a cunt. I'll just say that she does play a huge cunt.
Well, it's see that's the thing too. It's like when people ask, it's like, well, why do people like Sydney Sweeney so much? First of all, you want to know why people like Sydney Sweeney so much? It's because she's fucking hot and has huge tits. That's number one. But if your answer was just like, well, there's a bunch of random celebrity chicks, whatever, that look like swimsuit models. Why do they like her so much? It's like, because for one, she doesn't like. She knows what she is. You know what I mean? Like, she's not trying to hide it. It's not like she's not being coy about it. She's like, I'm fucking hot and I'm going to go on Hot Ones and eat the chicken wings and then stare them down like you got nothing. And like that video of her where she's like, putting in the paces at the gun range and stuff. And by the way, I'm not a TikToker. I don't do TikTok and Instagram and all that gay crap. But I've been told by people that like if you follow her on those, none of it is like her being a slut. It's mostly her like working on old trucks because that's what she does in her free time. It's like men are gonna think she's cool as shit.
Yeah,
she's really hot. She has big boobs. And she does cool stuff that men are into. So big surprise, men like Sydney Sweeney. And so to make it some kind of weird political thing, like, oh, if you like Sydney Sweeney, then you're a fascist. And actually, you guys, now that I think about it, she's not that pretty. You're gay. That's what that means.
You're gay.
Like, that's fine. I look, I've told people that are followers of mine and stuff too, who are, because they're trying to counter signal. They're trying to be like, well, I don't know what all this fuss is about Sydney Sweeney. I've never heard of it. Like, yeah, you have. Shut the fuck up, faggot. And then they're like, well, look, if she's got the left all upset, that's fine. But if she's not that cute, no, you're gay. That's fine. I'm not mad. I mean, you can't be around me or my family, of course. We don't want AIDS, but you're gay. And so just accept it. You're gay. She's hot. That's all there is to it. And it's not like, and I'm not like being a simp or a defender. I'm just calling it like I see it. Like there's a whole bunch of crazy leftist chicks in Hollywood who, I mean, they're like commie nutsos, but I mean, sure, I'd bang the shit out of them. Why not? They're hot as hell. But I understand that they're commie psychos and they have to face the wall. That's just how it is.
Just tape their mouth, right? I don't want to hear them talk.
Yeah, and their nose, and throw them in a lake.
There you go.
But it's but I can recognize that they're commie retards and call them that. But I don't have to pretend that they're not hot when they clearly are. You know what I'm saying? So so they need to be able to do the same thing. And if you can't do that, you're gay. If you are a crazy leftist and you're like, well, Sydney Sweeney is a right-wing bitch. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And if they follow that with, and she's ugly, like, okay, you're gay. That's it. This is not hard.
So you're not going to buy any, are you going to buy any American Eagle apparel?
No.
Support the company?
Why would I do that? I don't give a fuck about American Eagle. It's like, well, are you going to stop drinking Bud Light? Well, I never drank Bud Light. Wow. So I guess it would be easy for me to say, yes, I won't, because I never did. I don't think I've ever drank a Bud Light in my life. I'm not a drinker, so this is a terrible example. But I'm just saying, I don't go whichever way the wind's blowing, because I just do whatever I want when I want to.
Well, from what I've heard from reliable and very close sources, that ad has worked. Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. Yeah, that's
all that headspace you got there.
Makes me so mad. Well, you know how I am about everything's got to be just right. So I'm just whole time I've just been raging. All right, I'm sorry,
Alan. We did it. We're under an hour. Look at that. We're just at the hour mark, or just about to.
Yeah, but we're 7 minutes over.
I know, but I'm looking at the ticker and then the clock.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's different.
Okay,
but,
all right.
Okay. Anyway, Alan, if you're still doing a show, where can they find it?
We do a show of sorts that you can find on X, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, your podcasting platforms, wherever, you just go to @Alan Mosley TV. I can't find where's the yeah, there's the Alan Mosley TV episodes or not of It's Too Late, Wednesday nights at 9:00 Eastern time. And subscribe and give me money. It's already happened again. Look at that.
Look at that. I think it's time for a new chair.
This is the new chair. God, like I've got money, Shane, to buy a new chair.
Oh,
Jesus.
Time to go on Facebook Marketplace. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time here on the 38th Parallel. Bye.